Hello, 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 hello. All right, we just got numbers. Give me a second here. Just going through a few things. So, okay, FOMC really bad. FOMC. Okay, give me 1 second. Let me just pull up the markets a little bit. Yeah, this is exactly what's happening. Okay, so what's going on? So let me just pull this up 1 second. 1 second. Okay, so this is what's going on right now. Let me just make sure I have this on right. Can you see me? Okay, I think you can see me. Let me turn that on. Damn, almost just fucking pro. Okay. All right, so we just had FOMC, big news, huge news on FOMC. We had so one was there from the statement it was taken out that there'll be any rate adjustments. That's one of the biggest things. And the other big thing, 9 of 18 FOMC Fed governors said that they wanted a hike this year, a 2026 hike. So this is not great. You're seeing obviously stock market take a massive dump off the back of it. You got interest rates are flying high. Like, look at this. Interest rates are flying higher. We got NASDAQ taking an absolute dump. We shorted Solana right away. So just to see the trade right now, we're short Solana. I mean, I think everything's going to take a dump here, but we'll see what happens during the press conference. But right now, we're short everything, especially Solana. So we're looking for a big dump here. And then we'll see what happens, but not great, that's for sure. Absolutely no doubt about it. So the biggest problem here is that we might see another hike in 2026. So why is this happening? This is what I said on the stream earlier, is that we are seeing inflation spike up, right? We have a strong labor market. We had all the higher energy prices keeping inflation up, and now you're seeing core inflation move up too. So clearly there's a concern that we're seeing inflation creep back up. We're nowhere close to the 2% mark on inflation. We're moving close to 4%, 4.5%, maybe 5%. Very bad. So right now, it looks like Fed governors are potentially looking for a hike. Obviously, let's see what Kevin Walsh says regarding which way he's leaning. If he thinks this is transitory, it's possible he thinks it's transitory and maybe market reverses. But for now, clearly the dot plot itself, remember, it comes out every couple months. Dot plot itself says that that they're definitely not looking for a cut this year. Second, 9 of the 18 people, so almost 50%, are looking for a potential hike this year. So we'll have to see what happens as we get further. But the most important thing is, let's see what Kevin Walsh says at 2:30. So I'm gonna get all that ready. And then we'll go from there. So let me just get the YouTube channel, everything ready here. Fed Federal Reserve. Okay. So just sending a tweet out. Yeah. Right now, it's good to just, if you want to stay flat, that's fine. I'm short Solana. Fine with that. I think I got like a 73.4 entry on Solana, basically around the levels we are right now. Um, Obviously, made that call on weekly wisdom right away at 2 o'clock when I saw the numbers. We're in no longs right now. We'll see. Maybe we'll bid. Let's see what Kevin Walsh says, and then we'll kind of go from there. But for now, not great. Not great. The numbers were definitely not great. Um, we'll kind of have to see what the watch and see what happens. Let me take a look at stocks here. If there's any opportunities over there. That dump in stocks right off the cuff, pretty unreal. That would have been a nice hedge as well. Is what it is. Okay, so this is what's happening. Just so you guys get it. So 2 p.m. we got dot plot. Dot plot is the projections by the Fed on what which way they see the path of rates move over the next year or so. And we also got confirmation that um, almost 50% of the Fed governors actually wanted a hike today. So there was no hike, there was no rate change, nothing happened, but 50%. Let me get you the exact number. We had we had 9 of 18 FOMC participants pencil in a 2026 rate hike. So they want a rate hike in 2026. Why? Again, because like I said, there is a big push up in inflation. We're seeing employment data looking very strong, which is why when we had the employment data on the first Friday of the month this month, we actually saw the market dump. Nasdaq dumped 4% on the strong employment data. So clearly, there's a lot of stress in the market, and we're just going to kind of have to look and observe and see what happens. But definitely not great, not great. I'll tell you that. Lot of pressure on the market. Lot of that was crazy. I didn't expect anybody to look for a rate hike in this year. I thought maybe no rate cuts and we just stay higher for longer. But the fact that there's people looking for an actual rate hike is pretty wild. So okay, so here's a great question. Employment data came out pretty good. Why was it bearish? So employment data. So think about it like this. So when employment data comes in, you get a couple of things. You get the headline employment data, which is how many non-farm payroll jobs were created. Then you get the average hourly earnings, which is what is the average hourly earning of the data set, right? These so when our economy is strong, when it shows a lot of jobs being created, means the economy is strong. That means average hourly earnings are going higher because people want to get paid more because there's more jobs being created. What happens is this pushes inflation higher. Inflation, a big proxy of inflation is average hourly earnings. So if average hourly earnings are moving higher, it means inflation is moving higher. So that's why when you have a strong labor market, inflation starts creeping up again. Now, that's okay usually, but the thing is, we're at almost 5%. We're getting close to 4.5, 5% inflation, and at the peak we're at 9%. We're at a 3-year high right now. That's not great. So you don't want to see, because what's going to happen is people, the middle class and lower, so people getting jobs, they'll be like, listen, I'm making money. I'm going to go buy things, make it more expensive. Then I'm going to go, I'm okay with paying a little bit more. But now I have to pay more. I'm going to ask for more money from my boss. Means my average hourly earning goes up. Then other people ask for that, so earnings go up. The higher earnings go, the higher inflation goes because people are going to be buying more stuff and making things more expensive. So things like rent, air flights, everything is going higher, and so that's why a strong labor market is bad right now. It's bad for the economy. So it's got good news is bad news. Usually, of course, that's not the case. But when you're in an inflationary environment, good news is bad news, and clearly we saw that right now. So yeah, so if the job exactly, so this is how it works. So if there's it's a two-part, right? So the Fed has a dual mandate. The dual mandate, one is price stability, which is inflation, and the second is max employment, making sure the labor market is doing well. So you want to see Like I said, if the job market improves, will they have reasons to hike? So in a regular economy, when inflation is not high, when there's good price stability, when inflation is around 2%, you want to see more growth, right? Like you want to see more jobs. That's great for economy. You're not going to see hiking of rates. You're not going to see like pushing off anything because everything you have inflation still low. Problem is as employment starts getting higher, and if your inflation starts peaking up, then the Fed has to decide that dual mandate. They're like, should we sacrifice a little bit of employment for getting prices back down? So I think that finding that balance is what the Fed does. And that's why right now, because inflation is higher, a stronger job economy is more hurtful because, like, for example, in 2022, late 2022, we had recessionary concerns. We were basically in a recession. And that was good for the markets. Remember, there's a difference. Is it good for the economy or good for the markets? Right now, better price stability, lower inflation is better for the market, for the economy, right? Because think about it, middle class and stuff, lower middle class, price stability hurts them a lot, right? Like they're not going to be able to like even afford food and stuff. Okay, it just starts burning into your middle class. So it's something you have to be aware of. But I think this is going to be a very very important FOMC. So conference. So we got 15 minutes right now. If you guys have questions, ask your questions. But in 15 minutes, we'll start. We'll get the Powell's not Powell. Kevin Walsh is going to start speaking. What it does is high inflation weakness because of money printing for gold. Uh, is it high? So yes, higher inflation is because of money printing. It is good for gold usually. Yeah. So um, but it's possible people are just let's see. Let's take a look at how gold is moving around. Down a little bit, not too much. Seeing it move up a little bit, but let's see. Nasdaq kind of put in a nice reversal here. Let's see. I'm gonna put a stop out on Solana at 74.3. Sorry, 74.5 stop out on my Solana short. Just to be careful. Is the new guy good for markets or a bearish fellow? No, we don't know yet because historically he's been a hawk, means he likes higher rates, but Trump put him in, so we're gonna assume that he wants to pump the market. So I think it's good. We're gonna find out. No, I just specifically just said I have a short in Solana, short-term short. But I do have spot longs on stocks and copper, gold, everything. I'm just trying to scalp a short-term Solana trade. We'll see how it goes. Keeping my eyes peeled over here, peeled. Let's get my headphones up. Sorry, give me a second. Okay. See some questions. Can you guys hear? Everything from rates. Like let's look at rates right now. Rates. Look at 2-year rates. Look at that 8 basis point move up. That is insane. Oh, Nasdaq's back in the green. Insane stocks. Unstoppable. Tech stocks. How is tech back in green? Bitcoin still down under pressure. Gold's moving higher. We're still looking okay on the Solana short. I think that's fine. We'll hold steady for a bit. See what happens. Gotta stay a little patient here. Um, so this is the thing. So there's two parts of inflation here, right? One is core inflation, which is things that are sticky that take long and are not as volatile, which is like rent, stuff like that, like medical costs, things like that. They're not as volatile, right? The other is not like headline inflation, which has everything like food, energy. So that stuff will come with Iran war, with the oil prices coming down. That will come down. So maybe we see 0.5% or something, but we'll have to see. And then let's see if that deal's even a real deal. Like, how many times have we heard that there's a deal and there was actually no deal? So we'll take a look as we go and figure out. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see what happens when he comes on. Now, if he comes on and he's like, "Okay, we're going full like cut mode. We don't care. We're not looking to hike at all." Yes, people wanted to hike, but I'm very comfortable that there's no reason to hike here. You'll see market rally like crazy, and we're gonna close our shorts right away and long ZC near VVV. But right now, we'll be a little tactical. Well, a lot of the oil has been brought back down because remember it's all future pricing, right? Like you're just pricing forward. So you're assuming that the war is done and all that. Okay, let's see what's going on here. We got a few minutes. We got 8 minutes left. So if you have questions, go ahead. If we have, he comes out with a purple tie. We go 500 locks, yeah, long each. Sure. I'll have both actually. Oh, there's a Portugal games going on right now, eh? Damn. Well, Portugal game is going on. We are watching FOMC, man. We deserve. We deserve. Yeah, that's of course. All the good coins are going to be strong here. That's why the moment we hear Kevin Wars say this is, you know, potentially a transitory thing, and we're not looking to hike, pop, market's going to pop up. So be ready to long. Like I'm ready. I'm ready. But if he comes hawkish, boom. Wait for the slam. Silver, I like silver. I have a big silver position, and I have a like. If you watch my positions um in weekly wisdom, you'll see I have a big silver and a copper position. Yes. Yeah, I like the volatility. That's why. Ooh, we got see back our shorts. Shorts are cooking again. Solana short cooking. She cooking, baby. But let's see what he says. End of the day, that's what's gonna matter. Okay, 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 okay. Like it. I'm bullish, but not long term bullish, not short term. Short term, we need to figure out what the Fed wants to do. So we'll have to see. All right, we got 4 minutes. 4 minutes. 4 minutes till he comes on. This is gonna be huge. Can you guys hear? Hold on. Can you hear the music? Okay. Do you hear the background music now? Okay, good, good. I want to be able so that we can watch it together. Yeah. 3 minutes. 3 minutes. He gets on. 3 minutes. Be ready, boys. Come on, market. Here we go. Here we go. 2 minutes. 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Two minutes though. 2 minutes though. 1 minute. Here we go. Here we go. What color tie is that? I've never seen that before. Oh, boy.
Good day.
It was kind of mogging, though.
It's an honor, a true honor to be back at the Federal Reserve and to take up this duty at a time of such consequence. I've been especially heartened by the warm welcome of old friends and new colleagues both. And I've listened closely to my fellow FOMC members. Heard a lot of new ideas, new thinking.
Is that like deep blue, navy blue? I can't tell.
The Fed
Black? It was, man, why is it so dark?
This week's FOMC
dangerous
exemplified the very best of the Fed's traditions.
If you go to a funeral or something,
rigorous debate, open-mindedness, commitment to mission, responsibility, and accountability for performance. In this business, they all add up to one thing: getting monetary policy right, or as near to it as we can do. That is our North Star. My colleagues and I are here to serve our legislative remit, which you've heard us say before: price stability and maximum employment.
Market kind of likes it.
And these objectives guided our business in the meeting just concluded. As you saw a few moments ago, the committee decided to maintain the target range for the Fed funds rate at 3.5% to 3.75% in support of the Fed's dual mandate. The committee also reaffirmed its policy of maintaining ample reserves in the banking system. Economic activity is expanding at a solid pace, despite elevated uncertainty that owes in part to the conflict in the Middle East.
Market likes him talking.
Productivity growth and capital investment, both
How
strong.
crazy is that?
Job gains have kept pace with the workforce, and the unemployment rate has changed little. We recognize that inflation has been running well ahead of the Fed's long-stated inflation goal of 2%. That's been going on for more than 5 years. Persistently high prices are a burden for the American people.
Who doesn't like inflation?
But the recent past need not be prologue. I am pleased to report that members of the FOMC are unambiguous and unanimous. This committee will deliver price stability. At any institution, a change in leadership is a natural and timely opportunity to reaffirm its mission, to
reaffirm, big word, reaffirm,
and to consider whether those practices best meet our objectives. My Fed colleagues and I will be working in close collaboration to ask what changes might improve the conduct of monetary policy. On that score, you might have already noticed something, a difference in today's policy statement. It's a bit shorter, a bit simpler, and it dispenses with some older language.
You're just edging me, bro.
That statement just gives you the facts as best we can judge.
But he did talk about price stability a lot.
Absent also is so-called forward guidance, which we agreed was not well suited to the current policy conjuncture. This afternoon,
I can't tell. It's like
you
edging.
also received the usual summary of economic projections.
Markets on mix.
It's been the practice of this committee for participants to submit these projections, and I have encouraged my colleagues to continue to do so.
I can't tell.
I, however, have refrained from offering any projections of my own, consistent with my long-held views on the SEP, at least as currently structured. In the median projections, real GDP rises at 2.2% this year.
I think he's worried about inflation. He did say price stability a couple of times.
Runs at 3.6% this year, 2.3%.
He is trying to be
next year.
kind of neutral, I
The
guess,
unemployment
but
rate stands at about 4.3%.
he is worried about price
The
stability.
median
He said
participant
inflation
judges
worry
the
a couple
appropriate
times,
federal
so
funds rate to be at
I don't know. I
3.8%
don't think that bullish.
at the
Not
end of
right
this
now,
year,
at least.
and 3.6 at the end of next. Let me turn now to a few words on a key initiative that we're announcing today.
What key initiative?
I'm appointing a task force in each of 5 areas that are central to the broad conduct of monetary policy. First, Fed communications. Second, the Fed's balance sheet. Third, our use and reliance on
Task
existing
force.
data sources.
What the hell?
Fourth, productivity and jobs in an era of transformation. And last, the Fed's inflation frameworks. These subjects are timely, consequential, and in my view, worthy of a fresh look. My colleagues and I discussed them with energy and purpose over the last couple of days. For each of these independent task forces,
Market's
enlisting
not.
some of the
It
very
was
best
liking it, but not
minds,
that much
both
anymore.
inside and outside the
Let's look at the
economics
rate
profession.
market. No, rates are
They
flying
will be
higher,
supported by
guys.
subject
This
matter specialists
market's
from our
getting
superb
bearish.
Fed staff.
Look at rate markets moving higher.
And they'll have a straightforward charge.
He's coming a little
Start with first
hawkish.
principles. Ask hard
Let's see.
questions.
We still got a long way to go.
Examine current practice. Consider alternatives. And ultimately, propose next steps for policymaker consideration. Since last summer, my colleagues discussed possible improvements in the form and function of Fed communications. This new task force will build on that effort, and I expect propose some well-considered changes, including to the SEP I mentioned a few moments ago. The second task force, the one on balance sheet policy, will review the benefits and risks of the current ample reserves regime and the composition of the Fed's balance sheet. They will assess alternative frameworks for the conduct and operation of monetary policy. The third task force, the one on data, will evaluate new information sources and consider methodological changes to improve data gathering, with the aim of giving policymakers more accurate, relevant, contemporaneous, and perhaps most important, actionable information on the state of our economy. Fourth, the task force on productivity and jobs. It'll survey the
I wouldn't say
pace,
pumping, but yeah,
the
it's
reach,
moving higher.
the
Yeah.
economic impact of new general purpose technologies, including AI, and explore the implications for the Fed in pursuit of our employment and inflation mandates. The last task force, the one on inflation.
I don't understand this
frameworks,
task force thing. It's weird.
that'll examine the drivers of inflation, first principles, and weigh the full range of ideas for delivering price stability in a changing economy. You'll hear quite a bit more about these task forces and this overall initiative in the coming weeks. Enough for now to make a simple statement. Each task force will serve an objective shared by everyone in the system, shared by everyone around that table that I sat with over the last couple of days. A Federal Reserve that is clear-eyed.
I can see all the messages.
Fit for purpose and focused on the future. And with that, I appreciate your attention. I'm happy to take your questions.
Q&A. All right, here we go. Let's see. Let's see what happens.
Chairman Howard Schneider with Reuters. Good to see you again, and welcome back. This is a lot to be putting in motion so fast. What is the timeline you have in mind for each of these?
So I think it'll depend on the task force. It also depends on the urgency in which we need clear answers. My expectation, I'm still in the business of recruiting and finalizing them. My expectation is
I think this task force stuff is just
in the next couple of weeks.
Not to.
We'll start to get some more information from.
I think this is all bullshit. I think he just wants the market to pump.
Starting in the fall end.
I think he's just saying like random bullshit.
All of them concluding by year end.
Sorry.
And just specifically on the inflation framework, you talk about first principles. Does this include a review of the 2% target itself? You've mentioned that.
Oh, this is a big question.
Point don't matter. Should this be starting from a premise that 2% as a point estimate is too strict?
Let me break that into two pieces.
Huge.
First, on the inflation framework review,
huge question.
Their remit is, what are the drivers of inflation? What's the Fed's responsibility?
This is bullish. This is bullish.
In
He doesn't
part,
care
how do
about
we
the 2%
measure
thing.
inflation, but that'll overlap with my data group. On the 2% inflation objective, that is the Federal Reserve's long-held objective of 2%. You've heard me say before, I tend to focus on the left of the decimal point. Well, the 2 is the left of the decimal point. For now, 0 is to the right. I see no reason until we have reestablished our commitment and ability to deliver on the 2% inflation objective to revisit that. So that'll be outside the scope of what we're taking on.
Very weird answer. Very weird answer.
Thank you so much. Colby Smith from the New
I
York
think he wants
Times.
market to
You've
pump.
in the past said that inflation is a choice, and in the policy statement, it includes this pledge to deliver price stability, as you've reiterated today. But looking at the SEP, the bulk of your colleagues expect core PCE to run around 3.3% by year end, and for the 2%
He wants market to pump.
inflation target not to be reached until 2028. So I'm curious how patient you think the Fed can afford to be at this juncture in terms of waiting for one-time inflation waves to wash through and for underlying inflation to step down after so many years of inflation running above target, and under what circumstances you would support the Fed taking some action and raising rates.
Sure. So quite
Big
a bit there.
question.
Let me try to break that into pieces. First, we have the capability and commitment to deliver on our price stability objective of
Dude,
2%.
see, he's just saying
That's
bullshit.
Exactly what we're going to do.
He's just bullshitting,
Fed's
saying
review of its
nonsense.
strategy over the last any number
Well,
of
he's just
years.
Trump's
In
puppet, bro.
January,
Come on.
The Fed, including the
The
strategy
fuck are you
that
saying?
we're
What do
still
you
bound
mean?
by. The Fed statement says that inflation is primarily determined by monetary policy. You bet it is. I've said for years, inflation is a choice. You bet it is.
Inflation is a
Today, I'm
choice?
announcing that this committee unambiguously and unanimously have decided we are going to deliver on that. The rest of your questions sounded like encouragement for me to give forward guidance. We've dropped forward guidance. Some along the committee, I think, dropped it, I suspect, from our discussion the last couple of days.
Well,
Because they said at this moment in time, it doesn't feel as though
I
providing
close
forward
all my
guidance is right.
Solana shorts.
Others
I'm
have,
not
I'd say,
fucking with this
different
guy.
views.
He's
and
just
think as
saying
a general
nonsense.
proposition, forward guidance isn't the business we should be in, but that'll be taken up by the task force on communications and my policymaker colleagues. We're going to listen hard to what the experts say and make our own decision.
Bro, this guy's being neutral and just bullshitting
nonsense.
nonsense.
The good news.
He's
is
Trump's
we'll be meeting in
puppet.
6 weeks.
Task
So
force.
just following up, I
But
guess,
there's
on the
never been a
policy
task force
segment,
needed.
then,
Like
I'm curious
the
how
100+
restricted you
years of the
think
Fed,
things
everything's
are
worked
at the
fine.
current moment.
Powell
given
went through
the flow of data
COVID,
that
through
we've seen and,
the financial
forecasts that
crisis,
are coming
Asia
down the
crisis,
pipeline.
everything,
Yeah.
and he didn't need a
I
task
heard
force. This is all
characterizations
bullshit.
both inside and the Fed about that. I'll give you my own.
They just want to pump the market. It's fine.
uneven.
Pump it.
If I
I'm
look
long.
at the
I'm
housing
fucking long
markets
near,
as one example,
long BBB and long ZC.
Fed policy isn't the single determinant of the state of the housing market, but broadly, I would say there, Fed policy appears to be somewhat restrictive. I would have a hard time managing to say those words if I were to see what's happening in financial markets. So I'd say it's uneven. That's perhaps a function of different transmission mechanisms of monetary policy, whether monetary policy is coming from our interest rate tool or our balance sheet tool. But the good news, we have a task force on that too, and the balance sheet task force will be looking more at that subject.
You've said you don't like forward guidance. You dropped it from the statement this time, but with the dot plot, 9 members suggested that they want a rate increase by the end of the year, and the markets have taken that as forward guidance. So what does this mean in terms of how you guide the markets and in terms of what the dot plot's future is?
I'm going to have to give you the same answer I gave to Ms.
Pump it,
Smith.
baby,
We've
pump
got a
it.
task force for that.
How long? See,
I'll
good
give
thing
you a
I closed my
little bit
short and just fucking longed
Uh,
everything.
I reviewed
Clip it.
the
Someone
dot
clip it.
plots,
Me
and
longing it
when I saw
when
the
you started
submissions,
bullshitting.
I noted that all the submissions were coming in with pencils, those kind with the big erasers. That's to say that I think my colleagues around the table, when they submitted their dots, understand the world is changing quite quickly. And they
Oh, this
didn't
guy's
feel
so full
bound
of
by
shit.
them 6 weeks from now or 6 days from now, in the event that their circumstances change. I'll note a couple other things. What I heard around the table was, as they submitted their modal forecasts, their modal forecasts. To be clear,
I guess for the moment we saw the word
more
task
likely than
force,
not,
We
This
should have
was-
just
this
fucking
was
mega
more
long.
likely
Good thing we
than
long, but
other
we were a few minutes
scenarios.
late. But we're
So
still
I
up.
didn't hear
but-
tons of
bro,
conviction. What I heard was
what the
kind
fuck
of
is he-
humility that I think we should have.
What are we talking about?
I did not.
What are we
submit
doing?
A dot.
What are we
For me,
doing?
it's not helpful in the conduct of policy. I suspect by year end, as I mentioned,
You know,
in my
it's
opening
based. Yeah, it's
statements,
a.
there'll be
He's a Trump puppet.
review about
Which, like, I
communications
don't know
brought-
how this.
press
I don't
conferences.
know how I feel about that.
docs, meetings and the like.
He's saying neutral bullshit.
transcripts,
Task force should
minutes.
just push
This will
the.
be part of that.
And
I wanna
he's not even-
prejudge the outcomes there.
the 2%
but I'm
thing, I don't
pretty
think he gives a fuck
open-minded
about the
what they
2%
could
thing.
be. And I was just.
I think
incredibly
people wanted to
impressed over the
hike,
last couple
and
of
he said
days.
no
My
hike.
colleagues over the last 2 days, and frankly, over the first 3 weeks I've been here, they've been very open about changes. Change isn't easy. Change is filled with risk, but our number one goal is to get monetary policy right.
Oh, the other people on the
Way to
Fed, the
get
governors don't
monetary
like him.
policy right is to deliver on the remit that
they
Congress
don't know
gave
he's
us, to
Trump's
deliver
puppet.
on price stability. And there
Oh
was,
my
no
god!
disagreement on any of those points.
At the risk
This-
of
This is gonna,
possibly getting the same answer about task forces,
he's a Trump plan.
communications. What is
I
your
need a
feeling
task
about
force to
these
figure out
news
what the
conferences?
fuck is
Are
he
you going to
saying?
continue one
nonsense.
after every meeting? Do you find them useful? What is the future for the way Kevin Warsh will communicate?
Well, this one's probably got another 15 or 20 minutes in it, so I don't want to prejudge the outcome. Press conferences can be a very useful way to communicate
Is
with
he not gonna
households,
do
businesses, and more broadly,
press
through using the
conferences?
likes of you. I had a great old mentor named George Schultz, and his mantra was press conferences are useful, but when you have one, you want to make sure you have something important to say. Today, I think we had something important to say about our commitment to deliver on price stability, our commitment to rethink practices with an eye of moving the Fed forward, and to give you and the American people a sense that these aren't idle thoughts, these are concrete thoughts. That we're going
Bill,
to
all you said
seek
is
out
doing
the
a
best
task
minds,
force that's going to
both
take
the best
weeks.
thinking inside of the Federal Reserve.
I don't
the
know,
best
man.
people
I don't know
know
how.
in business and
I
economics.
guess markets
and
going
the
to react as a
academy
problem.
and
It's going to be
technology
long,
and the
but
rest to share their views.
I don't
That's
know how
what we're gonna be
long term
doing
this
here,
is
the
good for the
pursuit of
market.
truth. I think we're going to come up with some new and interesting things. We made some changes today. I expect more changes to come.
More changes to
And,
come.
And some of those might well be worthy of a press conference.
Oh, bro, I think he's.
Hi, Chris Rugaber at Associated Press. Thanks.
I think he's going to
taking our
cut
questions.
rates.
Could you give us a sense of how you see inflation?
I think he's gonna cut
more in the
rates.
long term. I know you may not want to comment on the ups and downs, but is this mainly driven by
He's saying
energy
changes are
prices and the
coming.
Iran war at this point?
What do you
or
mean?
have
The
any
Fed
concerns
institution
about
has worked
underlying
so well
inflationary
for over
pressures
100
in the
years.
economy?
What
Thank you.
change are we talking
So I
about?
can't do much better than the committee just did. So let me restate it. Inflation remains elevated relative to the committee's 2% goal, in part reflecting supply shocks that have driven price increases in certain sectors, including energy. That's the paragraph goes on to say, but to be clear, the Fed will deliver price stability. My own judgment is the committee spent quite a bit of time, not just in 2 days, but over iterations of a couple of weeks. That's what we're prepared to say about inflation, but the commitment to deliver is strong, unanimous, and unambiguous. And that's, I think, an important message. We've missed for 5 years, and we're going to fix that.
Well, great. And then just on the data task force and everything else, I mean, generally speaking, I think people feel the Fed looks at everything already. Certainly that was the sense from before. Is there data that you feel is not given enough weight? I mean, you mentioned the trimmed mean in the past, but again, that's well known to
Absolutely
certainly most
hilarious,
Fed
man.
members.
I'll tell you that.
Is that task force
Hilarious.
looking at, and what might be the? I mean, I know you don't want to prejudge the outcome.
Yeah, new
Are there
target
examples of data that you
is
expect
5%
might be given
inflation.
more weight? Thank you.
5% inflation is
You're
the new
answering my
target.
question, so let me say I don't want to prejudge the outcome. I also don't want to say too much about what
Pump
they're going
it.
to do because I still have a phone call or two to make before I've nailed down the people that are doing that. I'm interested.
He doesn't
in what
even have the
outside
people for the
experts' view
task
is on
force
the
yet.
subject. I'll say this generally. Most of the data,
But I feel like
that
historically,
central bankers and other
bullshit like
government
this would crash the
officials in United
market.
States
Because the
consume
market's going to be like, yo, what
come
the
with
fuck?
old-fashioned
okay.
survey methods.
Old-fashioned survey.
A national accounts of what the U.S. economy looks like that looks very little
But
like
I don't
the
know, maybe
US
market's gonna be
economy
like
in
he's gonna cut
2026.
And we're just going to see inflation
Survey
spike, but we'll
methods
just
that don't
pump
have
it.
response rates that we need, asking
He's saying
questions that
bullshit.
might have been
He's
quite
saying
applicable a
nonsense.
generation ago that are less applicable now. So even inside of official statistics, I would be open-minded if the task force
Open-mindedness.
and our own best thinking had recommendations how those official statistics can be brought up to a standard of our time using new analytic methods. I'd also say this, almost every private company CEO that's running his or her business are doing so with real-time information that isn't subject to much revision, that is telling them what just happened at that very moment. As you know, there are normal, long and variable lags in the conduct of monetary policy. What we're really interested in is what's happening right now. What we're less interested in is echoes of history. And you're hearing from my answer
Echoes of
that some of
history.
the data that we receive, that we're waiting on, the first Friday after the month, the payroll index or something else, that might be an echo of history that's quite useful on its third revision. We need to take those error bounds down because we have to make hard decisions in real time. I'm really open-minded that there is a lot of new
Open-minded.
data sources that we can learn from the private
Oh, we're
sector.
gonna have new
from
data.
reporters in the official sector. and
New
analytic
data.
techniques that are
New task
far more
force, new
refined than
data
asking a
points.
simple question
Oh,
about
he's
whether
changing
something
the
was
Fed
core or
completely.
non-core.
Oh, this is Trump's Fed. Well, everyone, look at everyone's like, what
Thanks,
the
welcome,
fuck?
Mr. Chairman, Edward Lawrence with Fox Business. So if you don't give a lot of ongoing forward guidance, won't the markets have more volatility? And shouldn't Americans have more access into what you're thinking going forward?
Oh, big question.
So I think financial markets perform best when they react to incoming data. I think the financial markets work less efficiently when they ask a question, how will the Federal Reserve react to that incoming information? The more that markets are paying attention
I don't know.
to
If,
what's
it's a
happening
good
in the real
question. Is it
economy,
dovish?
deciding
I don't
what's
know.
good data,
I've
and
never
what's
been
less
through a
good data,
Fed. Listen,
the more financial
I've
markets
been through
can
Fed
price what
speeches
they
for
believe is
15
the
years,
most
every
likely
month.
and what are the tail
Since
risks.
2008, I've watched a
Financial
Fed
market
FOMC.
prices are probably
I've never
the
been through
most
one like
important
this.
source of information to guide central bankers.
I think he wants to get rid
But
of the
when all
power
the
of the
financial
Fed.
markets are doing is reflecting back what we've said, then we're taking the most
I think he wants to
important
get rid of
source
the Fed
information, and we're being
or make
blind
Fed
to it.
useless.
I'd like us to create a system where those blinders come off, where markets are following data that they efficiently think is reliable, and they'll be watching data, we'll be watching data. They'll come with better information through market prices to us. We can make more informed decisions with ultimately the goal that I said at the outset, deliver on the price stability objective that Congress told us to do, and that we've got to get in the business of doing.
Yeah, if I could take you in the meeting a little bit. This is your first meeting. The board members seem fairly hawkish when you listen to, in general, when you listen to what they're saying. Was there any discussion of a rate cut going forward today?
Ooh.
There was one proposal on the table. There was no discussion of any other proposals. The discussion on that proposal, I would say, was quite limited. The group was unanimous and unambiguous on it. It has been the practice of this central bank and others to have a range of alternatives. Today we had one. I thought it furthered discussion, deepened it, and made it clear what we needed to do and how we needed to deliver. I wouldn't prejudge what happens in the future, but there was only one big subject for us. We took it on. We had a good family fight on it for a couple of days.
Family
We ended
fight.
up, I think, in a better place.
Bro. He wants to cut. He wants to cut.
Thanks a lot, Claire Jones, Financial Times.
That was the most
coming
nonsense
to this
thing I
round,
heard.
giving this very
But
nice
I think he
short
wanted to
statements, I
cut,
think we've all
but others
appreciated
said,
in the
I don't
room.
want to cut. That's what happened.
One might wonder why you didn't raise rates today, considering what you're saying here.
What's even the point of this conference?
About the risks to
Just
US
pump it.
inflation.
Just pump
your
it, bro.
mandate.
Pump it. Give me. Send
I
it.
guess why not, and what would you need to see in order to get to that place? And secondly, on your task forces, are there any best practices at other central banks that you'd consider looking at? Thank you.
I'm glad they're in the practice of giving you two questions, because my answer to your first question was going to be very curt. I've got nothing more to say than the statement itself. And to the point of the question I got before, market reactions to what we say unfiltered, I think is more helpful than having delivered a statement, me then improvising further upon it. Best practices of task forces. This is a subject I've thought some about. I've been on a task force or two in my life. Best practice, find the best minds. Ensure that the task forces have a range of people, both by backgrounds and predispositions, so they too can have a bit of a family fight.
Family fight.
Make sure
Why does he
when you
keep saying
establish a
family
task
fight?
force that the
His-
group that's going
his
to be the
family's
recipient of the
fighter? Or like what?
information feels as though they've got some equities in it too. That's why we're looking for,
What is
haven't
this?
done the final roll call, some of the most
All right, just
significant
pump it.
talent
Pump
we have
CC
in the
higher.
building.
Come on.
And across the reserve banks
Higher,
on each
higher.
of these.
No red
And in some
candles.
sense,
No red
seconding them to
candle.
this group for a period
No
of
red
some number of
candle.
months.
Higher only.
So that the leaders of the task force know what the most analytical central bank in the world thinks about that. They can reflect on it. And a final best practice, we're not outsourcing decisions to anybody. Administrations past and present, reserve banks have chosen a group of 19 people around the table. These will be our decisions. We can agree to some of the recommendations, disagree with others, have a good family fight about it.
Family fight.
But what comes from them will,
Whoa,
I
why
hope
does this
and
guy
believe,
fight with his
make the
family so
discussion
much?
we have internally better,
Bro,
stronger,
he said family fight what, like
um,
6 times?
more of a dialectic, so that we can finally
This
deliver
guy
on
loves
that price
beating,
stability
fighting with
objective.
his family, bro.
Just a quick follow-up on your markets point. If you look at 2-year yields, they're really suggesting that markets think more
This is exactly
tightening
it.
is
No one
needed.
on the Fed
Would that
wanted to
be your
cut, so he's
read on
making
what
the
the
task
2-year
force
yield is
and
as
use
well?
that
We're in
data
such a good
to
place.
cut.
This is why we don't do third
I
questions.
agree.
presume.
That's
I'm
true.
not going to offer any commentary on market reaction over the last 30 or 60 minutes. What we've given markets is a new chapter for the central bank, some fresh thinking. What we've
Family
given markets
fight.
and households and businesses, I think, is
But this guy loves,
commitment
I don't know.
to ask
Okay,
ourselves hard
my honest
questions
thing,
such that we can deliver on the
market
promises
has
that
is
we've
going to
made
lose
before.
credibility in the Fed. If
This
market
is
lose
a lot of
credibility in the
change
Fed,
for financial markets to digest.
market's going to crash.
I wouldn't be
Sorry.
particularly intrigued by
If market
how they
loses
react
credibility in the
several
Fed,
minutes or
market will
even for
crash.
several days.
And this guy is
What I think is
making the
most
market lose
important
credibility
is
in the
that
Fed.
Financial markets, and at least as important, households and businesses know that this central bank will deliver on price stability.
Dude, see that line? How many times he said that?
Hi there, Chairman Warsh. Brian Chung with NBC News. Thank you for taking our questions. So when you say that we've dropped forward guidance for the layperson, that might sound like the Fed's going to say less or offer less insight into where the
We've
borrowing
dropped
costs might go.
forward
So
guidance.
for the person that maybe
First
you might
time in
run
100
into at
years.
the grocery store, where the price tags are rising at a faster pace than their wages at the moment, how would you explain it to them? I don't know if task force might be the answer there, but how would you kind of communicate this era?
I don't
this
know. I'm
chapter
closing
of-
all my longs.
If I told somebody in the
I don't
milk
like it.
aisle that I had a task force for that, I think that would be doing a very poor job. So I
Task
appreciate
force,
it.
bro.
If I saw somebody in the grocery store, what I would say to them is that we cannot have a very significant effect on particular prices. The price of oil in the markets today, or even the price of a dozen eggs, that does not have first order consequences to what we're doing. But we do have a really important job there. And it's to make sure that those changes in oil or beef or eggs or milk don't broaden in the economy, don't have second and third order effects. That's our job. That's our commitment. That's our capability. And we're going to deliver on it.
And then is the Fed's relationship with the Treasury also under review? There was the normal breakfast meetings with the Treasury Secretary. Is that something you intend to continue doing? And have you had conversations with the president since you're swearing in?
So on the president, I don't have anything for you. With respect to the Treasury Secretary, he has been posting pictures of
president?
our breakfast. So I don't think I can and deny that. The long tradition at the central bank is that the Fed chairman and the Treasury Secretary meet weekly. I think we've pulled off 3 of those so far. I believe he's overseas this week, so this will be the exception to the rule. I think they're very useful discussions. The central bank's objectives and our roles and responsibilities are quite delineated from the fiscal authorities. And in my view, monetary policy is independent.
I think we're
of
going
the
to have to
conduct
wait
of
and
what we
see,
do.
guys. I'm going
That
to be
doesn't mean
flat.
We're not interested.
I don't know
in
what the
what's
fuck
happening
this
with
guy's
fiscal
on.
Authorities.
I don't
way
know how the
think
market's
about
going to
it is
react.
This central
I'm
bank
just going to
needs
be
have
flat.
a wide lens, but a narrow remit. We need to be quite interested in what's happening in the world. I won't be breaking any news here to suggest I'm quite interested in what's happening in the Middle East. That does have some effect on our day job. It doesn't mean it's our responsibility, but I think we're going to keep a wide lens, and my meetings with Secretary Besson to this point have helped widen that aperture. So we're aware of
Widen
things
that
could affect our
aperture.
day job, even if it is.
Fuck is he talking about, bro? All right, I'm just gonna go flat.
Mr. Chair,
'cause-
thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for taking my question. You had said in the before you became chairman that you thought productivity was a reason why the Federal Reserve could lower interest rates. Do you still believe that to be the case?
So the committee had a discussion of productivity today. AI came up. The way I thought about it before and socialized with the group is that artificial intelligence, the latest generation of general purpose technology, is perhaps as important a change in the economy and business and households that we've had in my adult lifetime. It is
that's
filled
crazy.
with both a huge opportunity and with risks. I take both of those very seriously. You may have heard me say before that AI is shorthand perhaps for American ingenuity. That doesn't mean that it's going to be easy. That certainly doesn't mean it's not going to be disruptive. But over the long term, my conviction, and I heard quite a bit of support for this around the committee today, is the United States is a winner as we go down this. The United States is ultimately going to be better off in that. Now, to bring that back to the conduct of policy, timing, scale, speed, implications for output and employment, it's one of the things we have a task force to do.
Task
If you
force.
don't mind a follow-up from the other side, which is that when you look at the strong job growth that's out there, the elevated inflation, GDP seems to be going pretty good, and the stock market seems to be soaring. Do you look around this economy and see the funds rate being restrictive?
So that's your second question. I'm going to give the same answer that I gave before. I'd say as I think about the conduct of policy, what matters is what's the effect of policy. Not what do we say, but what happens. And the best way I can describe it is it's uneven. I do see some restrictiveness in things like housing. It's hard to
Rates
use
are just
those
moving
same
higher.
words, anywhere else. I'll just make one other point. You talked about one of our dual mandates on the employment side. I don't believe that we have a cruel choice. I don't share the view that was expressed a few generations ago that Federal Reserve chairmen show up at a podium like this and say, you got to choose. And you're going to have to decide whether you're willing to tolerate higher inflation to put more people at work. I don't believe in that. What I believe is if we do our job, we can make strong growth, low prices, and strong employment mutually compatible. And so what you heard from the committee today is we've got some work to do on this price stability.
That's literally impossible. That's the whole man. Oh my God.
Thank you.
Dude, I don't know.
With the Wall Street Journal.
I'm gonna have to like
Chairman Warsh, you've
think
said
about this a
repeatedly
little bit.
credibility is earned by delivering. If credibility requires delivering, the move would be to tighten or at least to threaten to. Now, you didn't do that today. Why not?
That judgment you expressed was not expressed by any of the 19 people around the table. We'll be meeting in 6 weeks. We'll take up the issue again.
And if I could ask about AI, the build out is generating enormous demand right now, CapEx, data centers, power. The productivity payoff may be further out. So in your judgment today, is AI adding more to
this
demand
guy is
or
the
to
Fed
supply?
whisperer too.
It's a good question.
It's a good question. He's not gonna give shit.
At the central bank in an economics profession, what we spend most of our time doing is counting demand. It's easy.
Bro, I
We
don't
can
know.
see it. We can count it.
I'm
we can
tripping
check
out.
it,
I don't know
we
what the
can
fuck
revise
to
it.
do. I don't know.
What we do though is we infer.
I don't want
supply.
to just short, like sell everything
You'll
and wait
notice
them
in
out.
the second paragraph.
Short everything. I don't know.
of
But
what
if he
one of your
starts
colleagues
cutting
describes
rates,
as
does
a
the market
very
pump or
short
the market
statement.
dumps? I don't know
We
if the
have a
market
sentence
pumps.
on the
If he
demand
cuts, look
side
at rates.
and
Look
a
at 2-year
sentence
rates.
about the same
Up
length on the
12
supply
basis
side.
points.
They're both important. Just because we can count one better than the other doesn't mean we're going to favor one more than the other. With respect to AI and the growth of data centers and infrastructure around it, we're counting the demand side, and it is no doubt showing up in GDP figures. we can be less certain when we infer the timing and extent of the growth in the supply side. It may well be an intuition the supply side is going to expand, but it'll take longer. I just describe it this way. There's a race between supply and demand. Milton Friedman says that the only thing we know about economics is that there's a supply line and demand
This is
line,
so,
and
it's
what they
moving
cross.
higher, bro.
When they cross, and what are the implications for policy?
This is so
The
bad.
good news for you is we have a task force for that.
Task force for that. We have a task force to fight our family.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. It sounded like on
Beat
the
your
task force
up,
on
beat your
data
kids
that,
up.
that
It's
you
a
were
family
looking at
fight
overhauling
day.
or completely overhauling
My
the
Fed
system of
president
national
told me
accounts, the way
family
the
fight
government
day.
mines the economy. Is that your ambition?
In a word, no. In a few
Short-term
words,
rates, short-term rates.
much of this data gathering happens in other government agencies to which
Short-term
we
rates matter a lot.
owe a tremendous amount of respect,
Market flattening.
tremendous amount of deference. But if in the course of this we come up with recommendations,
I'm flat.
which Fed staff have
My
already
gut
begun
feel
to
is I
develop
would short.
about things
I
that
don't know
they
if the
could be
market reacts the
doing
way I want it to.
help
But all
inform
this
us as
bullshit is taking
policymakers.
away
We're not
Fed
gonna hesitate.
credibility. And if Fed
And I don't
credibility
wanna
is gone,
try to,
but I don't think
delineate
there's
the
anything
four
more left
corners
to
of the
listen, to
research
be
of
honest.
the task force on data.
There's nothing left.
But I do think there will be a
He's saying
review-
bullshit. You just keep repeating the same shit. All right. There's really nothing. Okay. This is what I think here. Okay. I think that this guy's clearly a puppet of the president, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, obviously, he wants to take Fed power away. He doesn't want to be giving any Fed guidance. He wants all the power, economic power, to sit at the top, which is what kind of Trump wants, which is okay too, I guess, because Trump's the president right now. He wants to create a task force and delay things. I think this task force he keeps talking about is him talking about just delaying, and taking away Fed power. So all the stuff that the Fed does, he wants to do it in the background, not in the public face. I think Trump hated the fact that Fed governor had so much power for the economy and was taken away from Trump. So Trump's like, I want to put somebody there. You do your thing, but you're not going to be out there. You're not going to be doing press conferences. You're not going to be talking about markets. You're not going to be giving a conference conferences and shit like that. Just be in the back and be down and be out of sight. I'm the man in control and I run this place. I think that psychological back and forth where Trump realized that how much power Powell has and how much more the market cares about what Powell says rather than what Trump says matters. I think that's what this guy's job is. So now we need to figure out, is the market going to be like, are we losing Fed credibility, Fed guidance? Is that bringing in more volatility? That's what we're going to see. I think bear case is that we see more volatility and we see a little bit of loss of Fed credibility. Like, is 2% not target anymore? What's the target? Is the Fed going to potentially cut rates? Like, what is this family fight he keeps talking about? Like, is the Fed like broken inside? Does the Fed governors not have respect for the Fed president anymore? Because he said that some of the governors had a different proposal, and then some governors like wanted hikes potentially this year, and Kevin Walsh basically seems like he shut them down. And I think he's creating this task forces to basically convince or use it as a thing to cut rates. And if you cut rates, look, clearly he was dovish in that sense. But why is the rate market flying up? Clearly wants to cut rates, but why are interest rates flying up? I think it's because the market is like, we don't care. The Fed is done. The Fed is cooked. The Fed's credibility is lost. And we're going to push rates higher because he's not going to do as much for inflation as he's supposed to. But stock market's not dumping as much as you would think, right? Stock market right now is like kind of just chopped around from so this is where he came in. We'll just kind of go up and down, up and down, up and down. So we have to wait and see. Gut feel right now, I'm going to be flat to lean short. That's it. There's really nothing else I can do. Let's look at gold. Gold's dumping too. Silver's dumping. Yeah, I'm just gonna I'm gonna sit flat to short here because I'll be honest, I don't trust anything. It just was all nonsense to me. So I'm gonna do that and see. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'll take the L. Is what it is, right? I think it's gonna go lower, but we'll see. Let's see where markets are so we can clip this if I'm wrong or right or wrong eventually. Stock market's there. Bitcoin is here. I mean, Bitcoin's still pretty low, but still, we'll see. Solana's there. Where's Solana? Eat. We'll see how the market goes. But those are my views for now. And we shall see what happens. But like I said, I'm leaning short to flat. And I'm gonna see what happens in the market. In the meantime, cheers, guys. Tomorrow I'm not streaming, but I'm gonna stream most likely on Friday. We're gonna do a big Yeet stream, so it's gonna be a full gamble stream, or maybe late night tonight. Let's see. Maybe we'll do a gamble stream tonight. But other than that, cheers. Join Weekly Wisdom. I guarantee you, markets like this, nothing is gonna be more important than Weekly Wisdom. Cheers, guys.